Welcome back, boxing fans. So I was just scrolling through YouTube and I saw Ego Boxing, which obviously trained by Dante, just like Dante, black exploitation, you know, PBC fanboy, one of the worst fucking channels in boxing. I don't know how channels like that consistently get so much traffic, considering all they do is put out clickbait day in and day out. I didn't even listen to the video. I literally just saw the title. I already know what he's going to do. Same shit he always does. But I scrolled through the comments because I'm curious about what stupid motherfuckers follow these channels but pretend that somehow they are boxing fans, right? That's really what boggles my mind. I know Ego's a fucking douche who's exploiting people to get money off of fucking AdSense through YouTube. Just like fucking Dante, just like the LDBC, just like Fannin and the rest of them, right? They will continue to push racially charged topics. They will consistently only talk about 5, 6 fighters just so they can try to capitalize as much as they can financially from this sport. And I guess why shouldn't they exploit it? Because everybody else does. So I guess that's fair. But his title is Errol Spence versus Sebastian Fundora. Biggest Texas fight in 2025. And of course, the original title of it is Bad News for Terence Crawford. Bad news for Terence Crawford. If you actually watch boxing, or you've been watching boxing for, the last decade, you know the PBC has went out of their way to blatantly duck Bud Crawford consistently because they know the fighters they hype up and push as superstars consistently get their asses knocked out when they step up and take on top level competition. I mean, shit, that's just what happens, right? You can just go back in time and watch every example and see that the PBC fighter consistently is getting his ass broken down and fucking schooled. This doesn't help that Al Haymon has his fighters fighting so infrequently that these guys just can't be at their best. But that's what you get. You sign with Al Haymon because he's saving boxing, and then when you fight once a year, don't fucking cry, don't moan, because that's the situation you put yourself in. You trying to get a lot of money for doing little work, and then eventually you're gonna get exposed as being fucking a hype job, overrated, or somebody that just wasn't as good as people thought you were. Spence is the perfect example. Wilder's another example. Stephen Fulton, another example. This is just like 3 fighters within the last year. But I ain't hating on Errol Spence. I don't mind that Errol Spence is coming back. I don't mind that Errol Spence is fighting Fundora. I understand exactly why the PBC is doing that, because what they want to do is consistently put out pay-per-views for fucking $90. And the stupid people that consistently cap for them act as if what the PBC is doing is somehow revolutionary and saving boxing, even though all they're doing is fucking killing their stable of fighters, aging them out, and using fucking named fighters that fucking have long been past their best. Example, Lara and Danny Garcia as a perfect example of just, running those tires fucking bare. But nonetheless, if you watch boxing, you know the PBC's ducked Bud Crawford. They ducked him at 140 when Danny Garcia and Broner both blatantly ducked him fucking for their lives. Their lives. They also ducked Postal as well. Then, of course, he went up to 147, and Errol Spence capped off and said, you win a title, I'll give you the fight. He won a title. Then Errol Spence said, you're on the wrong side of the tracks. I need to clean my side of the street. Oh, my God. Made us wait 5 years, giving us fucking a bunch of fights nobody fucking wanted to see. Nobody was asking for. Ruining undisputed fights between Mikey Garcia and Lomachenko, and undisputed fights between Spence and Crawford. You could have had both of those great fights. We end up getting neither of them until 5 years later. And then we see how that worked out. Errol Spence literally got his ass broken. Right? Now he's coming back. And I understand why he's coming back. There's a lot of money on the table. He might as well cash out as much as he can. The same way Wilder is. The same way Anthony Joshua is going to. Right? The same way Terence Crawford is trying to. These guys don't want to leave money on the table. And I respect that. Why would you do that? You put in so much time, so much effort, you might as well make sure you fucking take as much cash as you can in the process before you retire. Now, of course, they're at 154. Did anyone think this is somehow going to play out different? When the WBO mandated Funduro to fight Bud Crawford, his mandatory, nobody fucking thought that fight was actually going to happen. Everybody knew what was going to happen, that inevitably Funduro's going to be stripped. Bud Crawford's going to become a unified champion, not even fighting anyone, so that Funduro can fight Errol Spence. The biggest fight in Texas. Fuck me, the biggest fight in Texas. The only people that want to see that are dick riding fucking Errol Spence fans, because the majority of real boxing fans understand that that dude's done. He don't have nothing left. I wouldn't be surprised if he got knocked out by fucking Funduro, right? And how would that add to his legacy? Not fucking very well. Let's put it that way. If he beats Funduro, that's great. Then he's putting himself into more money fights, right? Potentially then fighting Tim Tszyu. Again, ducking Bud Crawford to fight Tim Tszyu. It's still not the biggest fight. Funduro's not the biggest fight. But that's good. He's coming off of a knockout loss. He might as well get a win. He beats Funduro, becomes a champion. Now that rematch with Bud Crawford becomes huge, significant, maybe even big enough that the PBC will fucking do what they should do. We'll see. But I mean, for all intensive purposes, most of us know what they're going to do is probably fight Tim Tszyu and consistently still duck Bud Crawford, hoping he ages out even more, so that then if they do potentially get in a position where they need to fight him, they're going to feel a little more comfortable. I mean, they also have Charlo, who could come back and immediately get a Bud Crawford fight because he is the champion in recess, right? And remember that he was capping off saying he was going to do that when he thought he could jump ahead of Bud Crawford to get that fight with the WBA champion, right, Madrimov. But unfortunately, he couldn't, so he didn't. And now that Bud Crawford's the champion, you haven't heard Charlo fucking say a word. Why? Well, because the PBC have a long fucking history of being fucking ducks, right? It ages all the way back to when Peter Quillen literally dropped his title because he didn't want to fight his mandatory, as fucking suggested by Al Heyman. Some of you don't remember that far, but that's how far back this shit goes. And it's been consistently going this direction ever fucking since, right? But what kills me is mostly these clowns that jump on this channel and pretend that they are somehow boxing fans. Whereas fucking none of them are boxing fans, man. These dudes are mental cases. You can see the comments in the comment section. I will post those and we can all laugh hilariously about the stupidity. So here we go. So first comment by this dude says, "Can't wait for Errol to get back." It's nice that you love the man so much. That's fucking sweet. Same, fire, trust, exciting. Oh my God. Like, fuck, man. These dudes are like fucking little girls. Little girls, man. Spence never going to be the same, unfortunately. The crash, along with the humongous loss from Bud, will change and break down anyone. Yeah, anybody could expect that that's what's going to play out, right? That's why I say I would not be surprised if Funduro knocks his ass out. I mean, he hasn't been training. He doesn't have a trainer, so he's getting a new trainer. So God only knows what kind of shape that guy's going to be in. But once again, if you're just trying to take the money that's on the table, then you're not really that motivated anyway. You're just coming in to come in. What's this other dude say? "You just speculating. Spence clearly wasn't healthy at 147 pounds weight limit or in the Bud fight. He will be stronger at 154. Right? This dude's fucking praying to God that fucking somehow 147 was the whole reason Spence lost. Spence has been out of the ring for over a year now, isn't it? Like, hasn't even been sparring, talked about retiring, right? This dude ain't motivated. That ain't a shock. He's told you that. But these guys, they're crazy, man. Man Down Promotions. Errol is a fan favorite. Facts. Like, unfortunately for Errol Spence, time has moved on, right? Time has moved on almost from the whole PBC. Outside of Tank Davis, what PBC fighter is anyone talking about consistently or gives a fuck about? Literally, there's none. Zero. Nada. Not a fucking one. You have Tank Davis, and then there's no other PBC fighter that moves the needle. That's why, of course, Al Heyman wants fucking Errol Spence to come back so he can do a pay-per-view with him. But in truth, nobody gives a shit about that fight. Him against Funduro? You know, come on. Funduro's a guy who got knocked out by Mendoza. Nobody thinks he's great. Nobody. If Spence fights Funduro next, then I want to see Crawford fight Lara next if Crawford doesn't fight Canelo. This dude is mental. Who the fuck wants to see Bud Crawford fight Erislandy Lara? Literally nobody. Nobody wants to watch Erislandy Lara. Didn't you just realize that on the Canelo Alvarez card? People fell asleep in that card. No one wanted to watch it. It was fucking the fight that everyone was shitting on before the fight, and then it was the fight everybody was shitting on after. It was garbage. Garbage. And to be fair, it's not Lara's fault, because Lara is who Lara is. But Lara literally has been at middleweight for a few years now and has been pretty dominant against the level of competition he's been in with, which is mediocre. But nobody's watched those fights. No one gives a shit. I guarantee you, 90% of the people in this comment section don't even know who Erislandy Lara fought previous to the Danny Garcia fight, right? They don't know. Crawford needs to fight Tim if he wins, or Boots. But we know Tim is not going to fight him, dumbass, because Tim is tied in with the PBC. And Boots, that's Bud Crawford haters, Errol Spence fanboys that just are hoping that Boots Ennis is good enough to beat him so they can say, see, Bud Crawford's overrated. He ain't that good. But if that's the case, how bad does that make Errol Spence look? Because that's the guy that beat his ass. Canelo is not fighting Crawford. Yeah. He probably isn't. Yes, he's back. Oh my God, dude. You fucking thirsty. I knew Errol wasn't going to fight this year. Everybody knew he wasn't going to fight. He's not even with a trainer. I'm looking forward to seeing Errol Spence Jr. getting black in the ring. Getting black in the ring? The truth. Let's go. This guy left a good comment. Szechuan Don. Nice. Why you hating Crawford? You should make a video about why you don't like Crawford and what he did to make you go against him so much. You just pray for bad shit to happen to Crawford. All he did was go out and do what he needed to do against Errol. You clearly support Errol, and he the loser. Yeah, that's the fact, right? That's how deep it is with some of these dudes. How sensitive, fragile they are, right? A dude they like loses, and their whole fucking reality breaks in front of them because they are fangirls, right? You know, fighters I like lose. It ain't a fucking big deal. You know what happens? The next day I get up and I keep fucking doing the same thing I did the day before. It don't matter to me. I like boxing the sport. Fighters I like win and lose, right? I remember Herschel Walker losing in the fucking Orange Bowl, Georgia, against, I can't remember who they played. I stayed up fucking till like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning watching that game. And I was a kid, and Herschel Walker was my favorite player. And I was crushed because I was a fucking kid. Just listen to this guy's response. I'm sure he blocked the guy probably after this response because that's the kind of clown fucking ego is. I disagree. What I really love about this channel is that anyone can get it. I like to say hate everyone, especially, as I call it, it is ego-only channel that criticizes everyone equally, not based on race or bias. Kudos to my new favorite boxing channel. Fuck off. Thank you for your viewership. which allows me to make money to produce more content for the channel. Oh my god. Oh my god. Southside Dawn, obviously fucking a clown. You should explain why Crawford fans are so soft. It's bad news because Crawford keeps making dumb business decisions. Yeah, working with Turki Al-Sheikh, that's a fucking terrible fucking business decision. I mean, just think about that. Oh my god. You know, you just got paid tens of millions of dollars to beat Errol Spence's ass. You go over to fucking work with Saudi Arabia, get paid more money than you deserve to fight a dude that just won a world title, and now you're sitting around waiting to get fucking the bag. Yeah, that shit, that's terrible, man. Terrible. I don't know what that dude's fucking doing. These clowns, man. Like, so it's Bud Crawford fans that are sensitive, not fucking the crying ass fucking Errol Spence fans. Like, look, think about knockout boxing. That dude don't even talk about Errol Spence anymore. He wanted to sleep with Errol Spence, but now he don't even talk about Errol Spence because he's too busy kissing Tank Davis's ass, right? Curious to see how EJ looks when he comes back, but this will be a tough fight for him. He's going to have to do what he's known for, breaking down the body, but he has to be extra cautious with them uppercuts by Funduro. Don't want him looking like Lubin after that fight. Well, let's be honest. If he looked like Lubin, he's shot and should fucking retire. Because Lubin was never that good. AJ getting destroyed after he was built back up, taking tune-ups, proves either a fighter still has it or they don't. I have no problem with Spence jumping right back into the fire. I'd rather see him go to 160 and fight Lara, but if Spence is 70% version of himself, he should handle Funduro. Can't wait to see Spence back in the ring. So this dude would rather see Spence move away from the hottest division in boxing, 140 pounds, and go to the deadest division in boxing, 160 pounds, to do what? Cherry pick a 41-year-old fucking Cuban fighter whose style is boring as fuck. Because that's a fight fans want to watch. So that maybe what they could do is potentially put him in a unification fight with Carlos fucking Adames. Give me a break. Like, if you're Errol Spence, the only division you should be in is 154. The only reason you're not going to be at 154 is because you hoping you can go to 160, beat Lara, become a two-weight world champion, and then maybe Canelo Alvarez will fight you. Because that's, you know, what they're thinking about. Al is obviously working with Canelo. They talked about the Errol Spence fight before. You know, stylistically, Spence is way easier than Bud Crawford. So, you know, it's still a fight that would sell. You get big pay-per-view off of it. Al Heyman and PBC would love that shit. Canelo, you know, he would take on an easy fucking broken down opponent. That's easy money, man. You know, that's the only reason why you'd want to see him go to 160. Because then to go to 168, it ain't that big of a jump. And then if he comes back with a win against Lara and becomes a champion, now you could justify it. That is some sad shit, man. Sad shit. But that's the kind of fucking fangirls we got out there. This isn't going to be good. There's no recovery for the ass whooping he received. No, there ain't. Thanks, Ego. Thanks, Ego. What are you thanking Ego for? For trolling and hating? You know, last time he fought at a training facility, he stopped Ocampo in the first round. Body shot Conway. Oh my God. He fought fucking Ocampo 8 fucking years ago. Coming off of nearly 2 years layoff. First, the other YTer said Tank fighting El Rayo. Now he's saying he fighting Roach. Like, come on, thirsty dudes. Just wait for it to break. Always my champ. Always my champ. You ever notice these PBC dudes? They got the LDBC and these guys fucking, like, this fucking, always my champ. I'll ride with the champ. My man, I'm always with the champ. You know, these dudes act like fucking they're related or something. Man down. Yeah, man down. Man beaten down. Mr. Man Down strap season. Hey, stop the cap. The truth. Nerd. You definitely a hater. It's biased ego, and I'm back hating on Bud Crawford because he's black and better than everyone else. I don't know if he's hating on him because he's black, because usually all he does is defend black boxers. But we know that Bud ain't part of the PBC. That's why he's getting hate. So Errol isn't black too? Laugh out loud. Ego, you know why you hating on Bud. Because you dick ride the fucking PBC, dude. You always gotta push fucking some sort of fucking narrative. It's us against them, right? Because that shit sells. And you know that within the black community, Errol Spence has a big following. And for some reason, dudes don't like Crawford. I don't get it. Because that's some stupid bullshit. But okay, whatever. That's what you're marketing on. Everybody knows, dude. How is Spence still a big fish if he got his ass whooped? He didn't even tickle Bud. I know. He's a big fish. Yeah, right. I got EJ beating the brakes off of Bud at 154. Oh my God. Those 7 pounds gonna make fucking the biggest help in the world, even though Bud already got a fight in at 154. So at 154, he already ahead of Errol Spence. Because he's actually been in the ring, went 12 rounds with a naturally bigger 154-pound fighter, and was able to go 12 rounds with him easily, never got hurt, didn't gas out, and now Errol Spence, after a long fucking time out of the ring, his first fight at 154, he gonna beat Bud Crawford's ass. That's some wishful thinking, man. Wishful thinking. These dudes are fucking mental. Mental. The same guy, Tony, he says, shouldn't this channel shouldn't have claimed taxes if he wasn't born here? If Spence really from Texas, he would have bought that belt back here. He's done. Shh. That sounds like some hate. So no Texas fighters have lost. Little Flip from Texas, he let it. T.I. end his career, sent his ass back underground. I don't know what they're talking about. But the truth of the situation is, this is the same bullshit we always get from Ego, right? He said basically the same video fucking 2 weeks ago, talking about how Spence was going to fight Funduro and that poor Bud Crawford was losing out. They said this shit before Bud Crawford got the Madrimov fight. That Charlo was going to come back, get that fight, and Bud Crawford wasn't going to be able to get a world title fight. Literally, these dudes have been fucking hating on Bud Crawford at 154 pounds, trying to push fake narratives from day one. Ever since he beat the fucking living shit out of their fucking god. These are some salty, sensitive mofos. But what do you expect from fucking the white TBC? There's some soft ass fucking motherfuckers running around here with YouTube channels. But leave your comments below. Tell me what you think. Do you think Errol Spence can beat Funduro? It's a tough fight. At this point, I think that shit's 50-50. Funduro is coming in confident after his last performance. He's tall, long, and got some sharp elbows. Errol Spence, that dude's got 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out. If fucking he gets a cut, gets hit in the nuts, something doesn't go his way, that dude is just as likely to fucking check out. But we'll see. I ain't hating, because as I said, I don't mind if Errol Spence comes back, beats Funduro, gets the fucking Tim Tszyu fight. Those are good fights. I'm happy, because I'm a boxing fan. But I don't need to try to hate on Bud Crawford in the fucking process, because at the same time, I hope Bud Crawford gets big fights too. I'd like to see him fight Charlo. There you go. He fight Charlo. Spence beats Funduro. He fight Tim Tszyu. Bud Crawford could fight Virgil Ortiz. Damn. Those guys come through those tests, and then they can meet up for fucking undisputed at 154. Boom. That shit's dynamite. Even if it's not Charlo, we could make it Ortiz, so that's fine. Spence comes back, beats Funduro, gets his Tim Tszyu fight. That's 2 fights for him, right? Becomes a unified champion at that point. Bud Crawford already unified champion because he's going to be given the WBO title. So then he fights Virgil Ortiz. That's a big money fight. And then the winners, Spence, Crawford, meet for undisputed at 154. Bud Crawford can become 3-weight undisputed champion, fucking doing something that nobody in boxing history has even thought about. That shit would be legendary. But let me know what you think. See, this is the difference between being a fanboy, a clickbait artist like Ego, or just a fucking boxing fan. But leave your comments below. Remember to like, subscribe, and share.